What's up, everybody? This is Connor and Joshua with Chamber One Tactical, and today's video is actually one I've been waiting for a long time. We've got the CZ Shadow 2 Compact. Ah, yeah, okay. Which was one of the guns that I have been pretty much asking for a few years now. Me and Joshua.
Yeah.
It's just something we were really excited about, and it took so long to get here.
Yeah.
We actually ordered this gun at the same time that we got our Kimber KDS-9C, so we're very happy that we've got it, and we're glad that we could do a review for you guys, so let's get into it. All right, so the first thing Joshua actually wanted to talk about is how we got to the CZ Shadow 2 Compact. So if you want to show them kind of the original gun that we've got.
Yeah, so this is more of an older model CZ75. This is kind of what started the
75
series.
The
75 series. It's got a great track record. It's been used in law enforcement and other militaries. It's just a great platform. And then over here,
obviously we had the CZ75 Compact.
Yeah.
And then they moved to the P01.
Yeah, so this is a CZ75 P01. And this, we wanted to bring this up because it's a variant of the CZ75, but it was more of a carry size.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what this one is. So it's also a variant of the CZ75, but these are about the same size pistol. As a matter of fact, we learned that the mags out of the P01 actually fit in the not tactical sport, Shadow 2,
which we were actually happy to see because here's your standard mag for the Shadow 2 Compact, locks back, and then here is a P01 mag, insert, locks back.
Yeah.
So glad to see that because that means we had 4 mags to do the review with instead of 2. So we really like that. But if you guys would like to see a comparison video between the two, because there are more differences than you would think between the two. If you guys would like to see a comparison between the Shadow 2 Compact and the P01, just let us know down in the comments and we'll do that.
Just in price alone, you could probably buy 2 of those for what you could buy one
of
these.
Now, we do have the Omega series, which is now discontinued, but they still sell the P01 with the standard trigger and everything. And I know you guys are probably going to ask, this Shadow 2 Compact does not fit in the P01 holster. So there are a few differences between the guns that make it enough to where it's not going to fit in this holster. So kind of a downer because now you got to go get a different holster, but it is what it is.
It's not a huge deal.
Starting out with the main gun, which is the Shadow 2 Compact, is price. So this gun came in right at $12.99, which in my opinion is not a terrible price to pay. Especially for CZ quality, which you're definitely getting on this gun. $12.99, $1,300 price range is not bad. I would have liked to seen it lower because we do like to save some money everywhere we can. But I think when you start breaking everything down in different firearms that are on the market that compare to this, it's really a good price point. It's not your budget price point. It's not your high end. It's kind of right there in the middle, which I think most people can gather up enough money to get something like this. So I was glad to see the price point at a decent price range.
Yeah. So I guess if we're going to talk about the sights, the front is a fiber optic. So with this being a carry size pistol, that's not the best option if you're actually going to carry it because you really don't want to go in a dark place with a fiber optic because fiber optic is meant to be bright when the sun is out and there's light shining on it. So while we were shooting it outside, hey, it was great. It's almost like a little red dot. It's very easy to find that front sight, but that's the only concerning thing is that it doesn't have the night sight on there. The rear is adjustable and it's blacked out, and it also has those, as we've talked about before, that CZ does. It kind of funnels it towards the middle, allowing you to find that front sight pretty easily.
Yeah.
And so very impressed with the sights, and it is optic cut that you have to buy plates for. So if you're planning on putting an optic on, you're going to buy those adapter plates, put it on there, and put the optic on, but you are going to lose that co-witnessing rear sight.
Yeah, and that's one thing that we were both a little disappointed on. Same thing with the Kimber KDS9 C. You're losing your rear sight when they're coming out with guns that they're calling compacts. I know it's talking about the size of the gun, but this gun is light enough where you could carry it, and most people would probably choose to carry a gun like this. But it's really hard to do that when you don't have co-witnessing if you're going to be putting an optic. Now, the gun, like you said, is fine as is, but we did have some time in our testing of this gun where it wasn't very bright outside, and you do notice how much harder it is to pick up that front fiber optic when the sun is not directly on it. So it would be nice to have some night sights or something on there for that use. But moving on to the actual slide itself, the slide serrations, I thought they did a really good job on it, especially comparing to other CZs. They finally got it down where they've got a little bit more thickness on the slide,
like there's nothing
where you can actually grab a hold of it. So I think they did a good job on this. I didn't have any issues getting a hold of the gun. The rear serrations are great. The front serrations, the slide is still not super tall, and I know they do that to kind of keep a low bore axis on this gun, but I didn't really ever have any issues with it, so I'm happy to see that they put some good slide serrations on there.
Yeah, I actually found myself using the rear slide serrations more than the front, which is typically I use the front serrations more, just coming over. But it was a little bit different with the way that they have it kind of chopped off, and it was just a little bit easier to get to the rear ones because
more
they're
meat
like
back there.
Yeah, they're perfectly flat.
Yeah,
and I actually preferred that. And of course, if you put an optic on there, I wouldn't mind racking it from the optic. But I guess moving on, it does come with a pick rail to be able to put accessories, a light on there. And it's nice that it's got multiple different slots in there. Like the PO1, it's only got one little slit in there, which makes this very what's the word?
Multi-purpose.
Yeah, multi-purpose, and you could just throw on different kind of lights on there, and it's pretty nice that they give you that.
Yeah.
Especially considering other brands, when you go up to this price range of a pistol, you're going to spend around $400 extra to put a rail on there.
Yeah, and
this one came with
it's very useful to have multiple slots because, as we all know, if you have a compact gun, they're going to want you to buy a compact light because it's made to fit in that small area. So this gun, you're not going to have any issues running a full-size light.
Right.
You've got plenty of spaces there, and I know light companies now are making them adjustable. Like Olight. Olights are really cool because they slide on that rail. So Olight, if you want to send us some stuff to review, just let us know. But it is nice that they give you a little bit more real estate to be able to throw a larger light on there.
And I like the look of the rail.
Yeah, it looks so much better. Yeah. But moving on to the grip itself, I think they did an excellent job with the grip. I really like the checkering. I don't know how many lines per inch they did on the front and back, but it's very textured. The grips themselves, while looking fantastic, also serve a great purpose. They've got great texturing on there. Without rubbing you raw or anything like that. It's just kind of the perfect mix. And CZ, I think everybody knows that picks up a CZ. It fits like a glove.
Yeah.
And when you grab onto this gun, it just locks into your hand immediately. There's no issues whatsoever with that gun moving around in your hand. So I think they did an excellent job with the grip, which no surprise to us because we shoot CZs all the time. And that's one thing I can always say is good about a CZ is their grip.
You can tell they have a good engineering team that actually cares about creature comfort, which doesn't really support my next point, which is the safety. There's a little bit to be desired on the safety. Both me and Connor had talked about it, and we kind of agreed on it. It's just there's not much material to put your thumb on and bring down, especially considering, like with this double action, if you wanted to leave it cocked and locked, like some people might choose to do.
Yeah.
Like a 1911's got a lot more material to be able to slap that safety off, and even putting it on is kind of difficult too.
Yeah. Especially with keeping your shooting grip.
Yeah, so I wasn't very impressed with that. They might have some aftermarket ones that you could upgrade it, but as it comes stock, I wasn't impressed with it. And then the slide release, me and Connor both kind of got some rubbing on our thumb.
Blister.
Yeah, Connor's got a blister. My hands are a little bit tougher than Connor, so I didn't get a blister, but I did feel it a little bit at the end of the day where it was just being rubbed raw. But just with our grip on the gun, it just seemed to be in recoil hitting the slide release lever, and it just over time it became uncomfortable. So we just had to adjust our grip a little bit. Not a huge deal, but it
Yeah, and I
you have to
actually,
change the way you shoot a little
after we talked about it, I actually took, because we never had an issue with this one,
bit.
the PO1. We never had an issue with that. So I actually took them and looked at them, and it's because on the PO1, the safety selector is actually a good bit bigger. So it sticks out off the gun more, and when you're holding on to it, it's in line with the safety.
Mm.
So your hand never gets pushed straight down on that pyramid style slide lock slide release. So it is doing that because the safety is so small and low profile. So it's just one of those things. We changed up our grip a little bit, and we had no issues after that. But that first, couple hundred rounds when it's sitting there digging into your hand, it made for a little bit of a hot spot. But no big deal. It is something, like Joshua said, that we will probably look into, especially because we're going to be shooting this gun a lot. Is maybe seeing what options are out there for a safety selector that's a little bit bigger. But moving on to probably one of the best things about this gun, the trigger. The trigger in this gun is really good. I think it's one of the better triggers that we have felt on a gun.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely one of the better double action triggers that we've messed with as far as pistols go, semi-automatic pistols go. Revolvers, they're in their own little space over there, but the trigger is just excellent. The reset, the break, everything is crisp and short.
Yeah.
So the poundage, we'll actually show you guys. We have a Wheeler poundage reader, and I believe this one was averaging like right there, a little under 2.5 pounds. Not on the double action, obviously that's on the single action pull, but just a phenomenal trigger for any kind of shooting. I don't think you're going to have an issue with carrying this gun. It doesn't have a ton of take up, which I prefer. I don't really like to have a ton of take up, but it's just a great trigger. The double action pull is very smooth. A lot of double action triggers, when you start to pull them, you'll feel the stages as you pull through the trigger. And this is one you don't really feel that. And I mean, no, the gun is not really broken all the way. We probably had 500 rounds to it. So,
yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty good break-in period for a pistol. But the trigger has just seemed to get smoother and smoother as we've shot the gun. So I would assume it's going to continue to do so.
And this, for the size pistol that it is incredibly accurate.
Oh, yeah.
Because of that trigger, that great trigger pull, that great trigger reset, and the sights that they have. One thing I will compliment the sights, just going back to the sights real quick, is how tight they are.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to have those tight sights for when you back up a little bit. There's not a bunch of play in the sight. And typically when you're shooting up front, real close, you don't really need to use your sight as much. You're just kind of like pointing naturally on where that target will be.
Yeah.
But once you start scooting it back, you're going to need that front sight. And with the sights and the grip, with it pointing naturally and the trigger, it just makes for a very accurate handgun.
Yeah. So, and I will mention real quick. So when you get the gun, you do get two 15-round magazines that have your round count on the back, which I prefer. I think that's a nice thing that they do on there. So you do get two of the mags, and then you'll also get 3 different tools in the bag. So one of them is for your optic plate, one of them is for your sight adjustments as far as your rear sight, and then the last one is for the screws on your grip panels. So everything you'll need to work on this gun is in there pretty much. So that's nice to see. But pretty much what it comes down to, Joshua, is what is your take on the CZ Shadow 2 Compact?
Yeah, so as of right now, I know this is more of the first shots, and we are going to do more of an extended review later on.
Right.
But I can say this gun surprised me because I'm not the kind of person that's typically going to recommend a $1,200 gun or $1,300 gun. But I can actually say that this gun performed really well to where I can actually recommend this to be more of like a do-it-all gun where you can carry it if you want to. You could put it on a duty gun if you wanted to. You could potentially shoot competition with this if you wanted to. Most people would go with a little bit longer barrel, but that's pretty much the only difference between this and the full size. Everything else is pretty much the same. So you have all those features of like a race gun in this gun right here.
Yep.
So it's a great gun. You're getting a lot with it, and it was 100% reliable. And that's another big thing too, is I would be willing to trust my life with this gun. So
Absolutely.
anybody that's willing to spend a little bit more money for a more premium product, which this is, I think you're actually getting what it's worth out of it. But of course, this doesn't compare to say like a PSA Dagger where all you're getting is something good enough to work.
Right.
This is going to be for someone that's just wanting a little bit more premium product.
Right. Yeah, I would 100% agree. And I think, what makes this gun, because like Joshua said, we normally, if we're looking at expensive guns, it's a gun that you really don't want to use, unfortunately, because they put these super nice finishes on there and they're just beautiful and you're worried about scratching them. And that's one thing that CZ has always done, in my opinion, is they give you a premium product that you're not worried to use. Like the finishes that they put on there, we've all of the CZs we've got, we have run them through their courses. We have just not abused them, but we've used them a lot. Every single one that we have, and their finishes have always held up. They just tend not to get as scratched up as other guns do.
Yeah.
I can't tell you what finish they have on here. I'm sure you guys can find that out if you go and look it up, but whatever finish they put on their guns, it doesn't mar. The finish doesn't just come off like, no hate on SIG, but SIG's finishes for some reason have always just rubbed off so easily, even just holstering, which I've always found to be very strange. But CZs just hold up very well. And like Joshua said, I don't think anybody's going to have a problem putting this gun through its paces and really using it, because that's what CZ's making these guns for,
right?
Is to use them. And like Joshua said, I think you could definitely use this for competition, because we actually had a CZ Tactical Sport Orange, and that gun, no, it was nothing that we didn't like about it, but because it was such a long barrel and it had all that meat on that dust cover, it was a clunky gun. It was still a great shooting gun, very low recoil, felt recoil, but it was clunky. It was kind of a slow shooting gun, where this slide reciprocates so fast, you can get on target. And I mean, some of our shots, follow-up shots, were just super fast. We were surprising ourselves.
Once you get used to that trigger.
Yeah.
Because once you go from like a striker fired back to this, you kind of have to learn the trigger again.
Right.
But once you get used to it and warmed up, oh man,
it's just a dream to shoot. I mean, it's very nice. So I mean, at this point, I would definitely recommend this gun, like especially what Josh was saying. If you're wanting to kind of push yourself and get a little bit nicer product, if you have all the budget guns that you want, and you kind of want to step it up a little bit, this would be my next step for sure. Yeah. If you can get one, because it took us like 3 months to get ours. So if you're got the money, go ahead and order you one, or get it on order or whatever, because it's definitely worth it. But that's the review we've got on the CZ Shadow 2 Compact. If you guys would like to see a comparison video between this gun and pretty much anything else, we have a Kimber KDS-9C. If you guys would like to see a video between those two, just let us know. Make sure you subscribe, like, and share, and we'll catch you next time.